We're here at Bunker Arms today. This is Rourke and myself's home range, and we're here to shoot some guns. We've got ARs, 308s, we've got World War II Mausers, K98s, you name it.
The works.
It's going down, and then lots of handguns. So it's an exciting one. We scrap burgers, we threw in guns. Seems like a good option, man.
Big shout out to Bunker Arms for giving up their space today. Guys, make sure you check them out. If you're in the business of a handgun, come and see them. If you're living in Joburg, we highly suggest you arm yourself and protect yourself.
In Woodmead, I mean, it's central for everyone. Let's be serious.
Cool. Let's go. Let's go hit it. We're here again at Bunker Arms. This is the former Burgers and Breakdowns, which is now, much to Rourke's disgust, going to be called Rounds and Breakdowns. A little bit shaky after shooting some heavy artillery, but here we are. We're ready to look at EFC85, the long-awaited return. Dude, how good is it to finally be, well, we're not there, but we're really close to having
next weekend, right?
EFC back, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited today. It's being at Versus the other day really made me realize how much I miss live MMA.
Yeah.
You know, there's only so much of like the actual experience that you can have watching it on TV, but to like actually physically be there and watch these guys throw down is the ultimate, right?
Yeah, it's being in that buzz. It's being like, you know, like feeling the energy of fighters walking out and dealing with physical stress you can see and watching the fights unfold, you know.
You miss a lot of the story when you're watching it on TV.
Yeah, you do 100%. So yeah, man, it's massively exciting, and we'll just have got the card here in front of us. We can see that our advice was taken at first, but we've added fights on, and we've now got a 10 fight card, 6 prelims. What is it? It's 11 fights.
Yeah, 6 prelims and 5 main card event.
Yeah, which is okay. Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I still would have preferred the 8-fight card, to be honest. But anyway, we're back. There's some great fights on this card, and there's great fights that have been announced that are still to come, which is very exciting. So it looks like we're headed in the right direction.
Is this going to get an early broadcast time?
So this is I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen, but I'm hoping that we're going to see, because I mean, remember before everything went tits up, we didn't get to see the prelims much. Most of the prelims there was a live stream that never really worked, and there was a few problems. So I'm hoping that SuperSport's going to jump at this one and hit us with that whole card. SuperSport!
I mean, you got like 55 SuperSport channels. Like, surely you should give us one.
Surely
run the prelims and the main card.
So I'm hoping, I would guess if you're going into an arena locally with no fans and that kind of thing, the broadcast is going to be key now. It's going to be, I mean, the broadcast quality of the UFC is really good. So I think the focus is really going to be, let's get as many fights as we can on. Whether SuperSport are willing to reciprocate that, we wait to see, because it's not going to be on SABC, from what I understand. So it's only going to be on SuperSport, and obviously the live stream wherever it goes to Fight Sports and all over Europe and so on. But yeah, you talk about Versus. One thing that's going to be exciting to see, you saw straight away, like with Versus, it's almost like galvanizing for the fighters, because they've been away for so long. They want to kick back into action, you know. And then the same with the UFC having the crowd back this weekend. You see how different things are. Everything changes, you know. So I hope all of these guys and girls that are on this card are thinking about that. They're keeping it in mind. They're gonna come out quite hard on it.
Did you see how hyped up some of those UFC fighters who came? Dude. That opening bout with that lady from China.
Yeah, dude.
5 seconds in and they were throwing down already. It was amazing.
It's fantastic. So just to, as always, we're gonna run through the fights, obviously give our opinions and what we expect. Quick glance at the prelims, and then we'll smash into the main card. I mean, opening up JT Berta versus Simon Domingos. The cool thing here is we've got a few new signings, which is always exciting. Domingos has been on the scene a long time.
I think he's been at it longer than as long as what I've been at it.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's not. I think I started in like 2009. I think he was there at the same era, 2009, 2010.
Nothing like a couple of big boys to get things going. I mean,
JT Boyce is looking thick. I saw him in person. My boy's looking thick.
Yeah, there were a couple of boys looking.
There's a couple of guys that I want to wrestle, and JT Boyce looks like
him and Roderick Kenner. Roderick Kenner looked like a heavyweight. I was like, Jesus, dude. Did you leave any weights for anybody else? He said, if you lifted all of them. My word. But yeah, so that's actually a great fight, to be honest. I think like a little while back, I'm not saying years ago, this would have been like a title fight at Fight Star or like modern day Versus or Alpha. Definitely these boys would have been battling it out. And then you've got a new signing, Niermeyer versus Christine Baumerance. It was quite funny, someone actually made that like, oh, where's the ladies fight? I'm like, well, look, dude, there's no real ladies division right now, so let's be patient. But, you know, they figured it out. My question is, I don't know from Kelly's point of view, she's been to World, she's been in the amateur scene for quite some time. How much notice did she have to make her debut? You know, it's one thing taking a fight on short notice, also making your debut with all things considered on super short notice. It's probably not the way you want to do it.
Okay, I'll be honest with you, I don't think Clint would allow something like that to happen.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
He's like quite a stickler for like running the process. So I'm sure this was something that's been in the pipeline for a while.
Sure.
And I mean, she didn't compete at nationals, and don't think she tried out even for the KZN team. So I can only imagine this has been on the cards for a while, and it was just more of a licensing issue.
Yeah, that was one thing that came to mind. It was quite strange that she wasn't there, you know what I mean? And then seeing her get her pro license started to make a bit of sense.
Yeah.
So it's obviously something they've been working on. Then obviously young Cam Simon, who's always the talk of the town, against Billy Oosthuizen, which is an interesting one because Billy Oosthuizen's fighting in a pro Muay Thai fight like a week before.
I also saw that. So when is that event happening? This weekend?
This weekend coming, where we are.
And then,
sorry, we're a bit ahead here.
But what happens if you get concussed in the Muay Thai fight?
Yeah, dude, I don't find
business.
Yeah, I don't understand how the EFC's allowing it firstly. I mean, they're not.
Maybe he's pulled out of the Muay Thai.
Doesn't seem like it. Seems like he's going ahead. But I don't know. He's supposed to be in a Muay Thai fight this weekend, which seems a bit crazy. A week before you're going to fight Cameron Salmon.
You can understand like jiu-jitsu, like even like you wouldn't do a jiu-jitsu event a week before you go to fight, you know? And that's way less risky than doing a Muay Thai fight a week before an MMA fight.
Unless your heel hook defense like mine is pretty shitty.
How's your knee?
Yeah, it's been better. It's been better if I'm honest. You know, like I wish I had that Joe Rogan money. I could just fly over to get some Regenikine in there and just figure some things out. But we'll try the peptides, I guess, until we have to have surgery. And then this one, Cole Henning, Serge Cassanda, your big mate, Serge Cassanda.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, dude, I think this is either a very long or a very quick night for Serge Cassanda.
He's quite durable though, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But you'd imagine that it's going to be like one-way traffic to Cole.
Cole Henning, legitimately, out of the entire EFC roster, I think he's the only person that really, he makes me very scared. I don't know why.
Is it his intense?
He is very intense. He's just a scary human being. Like watching him walk out and just live his life, it just freaks me out. Like he's a scary individual.
It's an interesting fight. I thought they would have given Cole someone a little bit higher like, in the ranking. Sure. I suppose like at this stage, a lot of fighters have fallen off. Like they're not fighting full time anymore, and so you're trying to make the matchups you can.
Also, a lot of guys would have been on the couch. You know what I'm saying? You go, hey, EFC's back. How far? You're like, oh.
You don't want to go in.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna need a few months.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
If you're like getting off the couch, fighting Cole's not the greatest idea. Rozak's been working hard. The Conrad's team's been working very hard.
Dude.
Sort of versus like all those oaks are like pretty much in shape. I mean.
So I think the guys that were serious about it during this whole thing would have said to themselves, look, MMA is not going to go away. You know what I mean? Maybe the EFC is going to go through some things, but MMA is not going to go away. So we cannot now just be like dust off the old CV and just chill on the couch and just carry on living our lives. If we're serious about this, we have to carry on training.
Yeah, 100%.
Sure, there would have been a time where everybody took some time off, but you know,
forcefully.
Yeah, forcefully. And then I'm looking forward to this one, Stefan Pretorius versus Panga Man.
Oh my God.
I can't even say Diego. They just say Bandu. I like it. They're like Diego Bandu, but it's like Bandu Johnny. You know what I'm saying? Like we just call him Bandu from now on.
Dude, the only thing more scary than like a bodied up oak ready to fight you is a bodied up oak with a panga, right?
Or with panga.
You don't fuck around with a guy that owns a panga.
Yeah, dude. He is. Well, Mark Cumber literally got in the cage and was like, nah, I'm okay.
I'm okay, I'm good.
Next a bit sore. Next a bit sore. You know what I'm saying?
So, you know, like when you have your first fight or your second fight and you're walking out there, you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Right? Like, I've got a good job. I don't need to do this, right? Like, Cumber got to that realization in the cage. He's like, oh,
yeah, I don't actually really.
I'm good, guys.
Just kidding, guys. I don't actually really want to do this, which is pretty funny. But that being said, look, not to say we haven't. Unfortunately, we've only seen him walk into the cage and walk out again and win it. You know, it's gonna be interesting to see. Obviously, you would guess that he's very tall. I think his wingspan is like 2 meters or something crazy. It's ridiculous. I still remember them measuring Matt Barras and Guy, and like Matt came with like 2-point-something meters, and Guy was like, go measure again. It can't be right. But his arms are so long. He's tall. I'm pretty sure he's got some power behind those punches, just on the leverage alone. You know what I'm saying?
How was his amateur career?
I try to see, but like, I think the big problem is that nobody wants to fight this guy for whatever reason. Maybe he's got a good witch doctor, or I don't know what goes on. But that being said, he has to deal with a veteran of the game whose jiu-jitsu is next level. You know what I mean? In terms of the landscape that he's on. He's got high-level jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? And obviously that's going to be the path. If Stefan can close a gap in any instance, get him to the ground, I think that's all she wrote. You know what I mean? I think that's what you're going to see.
100%.
You know, so, but...
Is this a light heavyweight or middleweight?
I think it's a middleweight. Okay. I think it's a middleweight. I think that's where Stefan Vittorius belongs, bro.
Yeah, light heavyweight for sure.
And then...
he's probably a decent welterweight.
Yeah. Well, he's a big fella as well, And then Nerik Simos and the Eagle, Claude, I don't know where he came from. But anyway, he's back. Interesting. Also, dude, Brazilian guy, don't get rid of him easy. It's always been a tough fight for whoever he's faced. But I think just Nerik's going to obviously just have too many.
It looks like Nerik and that whole crew at CIT haven't stopped training.
Yeah, also on that. And like, it's so funny how you see these guys like Claude and Tumba, like all of a sudden just appear back on social media. I'm like, guess he's got a fight coming. You know what I mean? For like 7 years.
That's the first mistake, is you started following all these guys.
Yeah, well, you got it, bro. You got to see what's up.
How do you throw a knife? You throw it blade first, eh?
Listen, bro, I have no idea.
I'm telling you, dude. All I'm saying is I need a little chain on the end of this. Get over here.
This has been watching way too much Mortal Kombat, dude. But it would be cool though. Maybe they've got some rope in the back.
Dude, we'll make it happen.
Okay. What are we shooting?
Okay.
Rocky? What do you say?
What I think we're shooting? These bad boys.
Sure.
Are we saving dessert for last?
Which is your dessert?
Are you the guy that likes his ice cream before his burger? AR.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't wait to shoot the Mauser. This is World War II, German Mauser.
I feel like a security guard right now. Okay, let's do this.
So take your thumb out the way.
Wallace, what is that?
This is my Browning Able 2 Hunter 308 with a Vortex Strike Eagle optics on it. This is my hunting rifle, super light and deadly accurate. They had a plan.
Oh! That Bocky's sleeping now. Man.
Yeah, that thing. So, our next gun today, this is my Mauser K98, straight out of World War II. It still has some signs on it that we won't show you for this video.
Serial number safety.
Yeah.
Fuck, but you had to hit the gym to operate this thing in the war, bro.
Jesus. What? He was in a state of shock at first. He was just like, ugh.
How crazy is that?
That's
thing,
crazy, dude.
Fucking hell.
Those Germans weren't fucking around, obviously.
That's so epic. Rock, I need a photo with this gun. And then yeah, dude, listen, this main card, I must be honest, is one of the better main cards we've seen in some time.
Yeah.
You know, like they've really tried to deck it out, but at the same time save a bit of star power for the cards to come, which is quite cool. And we're gonna see a bit of movement here, you know. Obviously, Aziashu, who I just spoke to, who's fired up, new version of himself. He's really burning from that loss with Sylvester. And it's quite funny speaking to guys like that, you know, and kind of see where he went wrong. And one of the things he said was, you know, he underestimated Sylvester, and I think it had a lot to do with riding this viral knockout. You know what I mean? You have this viral knockout, you start believing you're invincible. You know what I mean? Like the whole world's watching and talking about your KO, and you're like, yeah, this is me now. I'm just going to be sparking dudes left, right, and center. And then you enter Sylvester Chipum, and he's like, cool, hold my.
It's a way more complicated situation.
Yeah, hold my beer. Let me show you.
Which is crazy because Sylvester, he became famous through his striking.
Yeah.
And then has cemented himself as a top fighter using wrestling.
Yeah. So that's a cracking fight to open up that Aziashu versus Sandile Mandela.
Yeah.
Again, like, so you look at a guy like Aziashu who's just been sitting and stewing in this loss of a guy who's imposed his will, clinching, wrestling and grinding it out. And realistically, that's probably what you're going to see.
Yeah, so I mean, like, Sandile's keys to victory is to, like, just to get the takedown and basically just grapple him the entire match. Ashiasu obviously has been working on takedown defense. Obviously doesn't want to work himself against the cage.
Sure.
Trying to keep it in the middle of the hexagon. But honestly, like, unless there's an early knockout, I think we're going to see a lot of like Sandile just grappling him, pushing him up against the cage, grappling him, taking him down. And so be interesting. I think if Asiashu can get through Sandile, then that definitely cements him as the next contender.
Yeah.
But,
well, I think it's no secret that that's probably number one contender, because you're going to watch the bantamweight picture unfold in the title at the top of the card, and then you've got the two best.
This is Sandile's second fight at bantam, huh?
Yeah,
and he won the first one. Yeah. So I mean, in that division, you're only ever like 2-3 good wins away from a title shot. So,
and I mean also like Aziashu was I think he went 4 fights. He lost his debut, and they just went on this tear, a 4-fight tear, and then obviously had the loss, and now he's back. So he's there, you know what I mean? Like one big win over a guy like Sandile. You know, like I quite like, obviously you can see the thinking behind that, and they're like, okay, cool, Sandile's worked his way in the division, gets a win, he gets a title. Chitamba's worked his way, obviously he's coming off a loss, but at the same time, Sandile is a big name, you get a win.
It's potentially a loss against the next champion, right?
Sure. And then, look, Zulu versus Fafa I think it was inevitable on the landscape of the division. The only other argument statistically was Wade Crispay, who's not in the mix just yet, which is a bit sad. I think Wade Crispay is the dark horse waiting in the wings in that division, you know. As for Fafa,
where's Fafa training at the moment? I mean,
he's with Faiz at
Lalo.
Yeah, from what I understand.
Okay.
So I think they've kind of stuck together and they've gone on. Look, I mean, there's no secret anyone watches the show. Like we're not trying to belittle or degrade Fafa. I just think he's scraped through things. I mean, he actually beat Aziashu on his debut. I think that was Aziz's loss.
Yeah, it's always like these super tight fights, and it's like it's not like action packed.
Yeah.
You know, he's not like one of those fan friendly fighters, you know.
Sure.
So, I mean, I'm sure they understand the criticism, but I mean, he hasn't like cemented himself as a top contender, even though statistically he is.
Yeah.
So this is his opportunity. I mean, Zulu's a dangerous dude to fight. I mean, he's caused hundreds of thousands of rands worth of medical bills for guys over the years, and I mean, it's not a fight you take lightly.
Yeah.
And if you can get past Zulu, then you're right.
Yeah, then you're the real deal.
But then what do? Your training partner's the champ.
Yeah, but there should be a flyweight, the two of them, Zulu versus Fafa.
I think it's advancing.
Yeah, but it's realistically flyweights, I guess. The only question mark we have is, where has Zulu been? Where has he been training? I mean, obviously he's not a guy who's...
He certainly wasn't at...
he certainly wasn't at the studio.
He wasn't at the studio on Monday for his interview,
yeah.
so I mean...
you know, so we don't really know.
Yeah.
And I suppose the same can be said for most of these guys, barring a few. We just don't really know what they've been up to.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see. But I think Zulu comes back. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder now. I think he's got a point to prove.
I mean, that fight with Faiz was super tight.
Yeah.
I mean, that could have gone either way.
Yeah. I mean, well, we made arguments for his win and loss, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there and thereabout. The return of Martin van Staden versus the stalwart of PT Coxon, let me say, who's obviously been around a long time. I know a lot of guys were shitting on this fight originally. I also was like, I don't know. But I mean, you've got to take the whole fight into context, you know what I'm saying? Martin, who's been around forever, whatever you think about PT, he's been around forever. He may not have this like glistening record, but he's never been in a boring fight, Not that I can remember, okay, barring the soft jaw incident, which was very interesting. He's never really been in a boring fight. You know what I mean? He fought Dino Bagatti. He's going to fight a former teammate in Martin van Staden. I mean, for Dino's teammate. I think it's an exciting fight. I think PT is very dangerous. I think Martin has everything to lose in that fight, and PT really has nothing to lose. You know what I mean? Which makes him that much more dangerous. You know?
So the only thing that I struggle to understand with this matchup is that, like, anyone that's seen Martin recently, he's like a legit middleweight at the moment, right? He's thick, he's lean, like the boy's been putting in some work over the last 2 years of not fighting. Whereas PT, you feel like he's still like legitimately a lightweight. I know he's spent his career at welterweight and so forth, but he's like legitimately, like frame-wise, he's a lightweight. So like, I just think that size difference is going to play such a huge factor in this fight that I think PT's going to struggle with the strength of Martin, right, and the punching power of Martin. I would like to see PT like take his dieting seriously and get himself down to like a lean lightweight, and then go and attack that landscape rather than having these fights at middleweight and welterweight. And
so I think exactly what you're saying will highlight what, in terms of the South African MMA landscape, what a very high level MMA athlete looks like, as opposed to someone who's just kind of like tinkering around, trying to make some money and still enjoying what they're doing. There's a lot of that in South Africa still now. Martin is a full-on, flat-out professional athlete who's living, eating and breathing his sport, diet, strength conditioning, recovery, all of that kind of stuff. I don't know to what extent PT's doing that. I don't think it's on the same level. I'm not saying he's a worse athlete, I just don't think he's got all the resources and tools as what Martin has, for example. Both in terms of a fight camp and in terms of a skill set as well. I don't think he has. I mean, Martin can wrestle you, his jiu-jitsu is good, his striking is good, you know what I mean? Like and he's got a lot of power, so it makes him very dangerous. But look, it's not, I know there's a lot of critics on that fight, but I don't think it's going to be as one-sided as people think. I think PT hits hard, and he's very dangerous, and like I say, he's got nothing to lose, which makes him incredibly dangerous. And then my boy Bruno Makulu back on the scene. I'm very excited to hear his walkout song. Firstly, he's going to change it. He's got something new for us. I'm pretty stoked.
Did someone give him a mic and let him sing himself out?
Damn straight, bro.
I mean,
let him walk himself out. It can be like Tyron Woodley rapping. I don't know, some Congolese beat rap. I don't know.
There's that Congolese rapper. I mean, he's like a billionaire, right? You know, like Congo's got this massive separation between like poverty and wealth, right? Get that guy to come out. I mean, that guy's like a superstar.
For sure.
For one of these Congolese guys. But yeah, I also don't understand this fight, to be completely honest.
Yes, because
you got a highly accomplished combat sports athlete in Boyd Allen, who's been highly successful in boxing, highly successful in MMA, right? And you'd imagine that you would reserve Boyd's star power for a big name, right? And I can only imagine you have him for 1 or 2 fights. You're not going to have him forever. And then to have Bruno Makulu be his, and no disrespect to Bruno, but like, he hasn't had the most exciting fights ever. I mean, he's literally one of the only people ever to be disqualified for inactivity. So,
but that's his style though, isn't it?
I don't understand why you'd throw all your star power behind him facing, behind Boyd facing Bruno. Because it's just, I feel like you basically dulled off the shine from Boyd by putting him up against Bruno.
For sure. But that's Bruno Saldo, isn't it? It's always on the back foot. It's always trying to draw you in because he like wants to draw you into like a step, like heavy body kick or something like that. But he needs you to engage, and that's not how it always works.
Yeah.
And he's constantly on that back foot. You know what I mean? And I think against a guy like Boyd Allen, you're going to pay the price, and you're going to pay it multiple times. You know
One
what
of
I
the
mean?
best counter strikers in MMA.
Yeah, dude. And he's
in African MMA.
yeah, and his angling and footwork from the outside is ridiculous. You know what I mean? So you're going to, as Bruno Makula, you're going to have to change something if you want to try and win that fight.
I understand they've got Elaine versus Anaset coming up, but I think like Boyd versus Anaset would have been a barn burner. Like that would have been a great fight to watch. And try and like match Boyd up with another striker in the lightweight division, or even the featherweight division. Boyd versus Ego could have been interesting. But I mean,
it seems like we're dancing around that Boyd versus Ego sort of fight.
Yeah.
So Boyd, when he was on the show, when he eventually pitched up, was lightweight is where he's staying. He's not featherweight is not an option for him.
Yeah.
So if like someone like Ego wants to come up, cool, but he's not. That's where he's staying. The lightweight division is his. Yeah, dude. I think that's a little bit more one-sided than from Starling versus Coxon, in my opinion.
oh yeah, I definitely do.
You know what I mean?
I think that's completely one-sided. I mean,
Same thing though.
I mean,
Boyd can still wrestle. Boyd's
from a
jiu-jitsu
betting angle, guys, if you bet any money on Bruno, that's gone. That's finito. Right? Do not bet the house, do not bet anything.
And then I guess you got to come back with the only champion really left in the organization,
Yeah.
barring Ego.
The only champion with his belt still on
Yeah.
the African continent.
His old Faiz and Sylvester. I mean,
Does Ego have his belt?
he must.
I guess, and they got 2 belts on the African
He
continent.
must. Yeah.
All the
He must.
other ones are.
Yeah, because
Not
I think,
right.
like I said, I think Faiz has got the new one. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
The
Ego
new one's
does.
nice, eh?
Yeah, it's nice.
If you're going to have a belt, you'd rather have that new one.
Dude, talking about belts, like after Versus, there was this person like they commented like 3 times eventually till I had to say something. They're like, "Oh, that belt looks like a WWE belt." I'm like, dude, yeah, like firstly, who cares?
That sounds awesome, right?
Yeah, and secondly, please go and Google a belt maker and just go and see how hard it is to make a fucking
yeah,
belt.
dude.
Like it's not you don't just go buy them off the shelf. Like you
No,
got to get them
100%.
made overseas and then imported, and it's a saga.
Who cares if it looks like a WWE
Yeah, it
belt?
looks fucking legit.
WWE belts look awesome.
Anyway, back to Faiz versus Sylvester. I'm super excited about this fight. I tell you why. What gets me really jacked up. When I look at Faiz Jacobs, obviously he's winning, crazy KO, highlight reel in his arsenal that he's got. This rise, this story, sort of his. But when it comes down to fighting, he's an absolute wild man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say he's technically not there because I think he showed that against Zulu.
I was about to say, like, he's a wild man unless the game plan's
Yeah,
not to be a
sure,
wild man,
sure.
right? Like Zulu, he was very calculated and he like did what he had to do to
Yeah.
win that fight because I think he realized that being a wild man versus Zulu wasn't gonna pay dividends in the end, and you just need to like stay the course, you know. Like there were a couple of stages in that fight where he could have definitely just got stuck in, and they could have just had like a kickboxing fight. But yeah, it's
One thing about Faiz, I think his fight IQ is getting better and better with each fight. He understands his strengths and weaknesses, I think, a lot better than what he puts on, and he's developing in that aspect. He knows when to put pressure, he knows when to back off. Like his wrestling defense was really good against Zulu, and I think the wrestling initially would have caught him by surprise. You know, I mean, it wouldn't be part of the plan, so he would have had to go into his training and say, okay, cool, I know how to handle this. It's not a problem. You know, I mean, when that breaks and then we strike. You know? Oh, excuse the drilling. So, and then Sylvester, like you said, who's adopted this. He's obviously been known for his striking, but he's adopted this wrestling base. We know his team.
yeah.
The team put in the work. You're going to get the strongest, fittest athlete possible. They're going to come out. They're going to have a good game plan. You're going to have DeMarth and Timber in his corner, very experienced guys. So he's got a lot of chips in his corner. It's going to be interesting to see what sort of game plan he adopts. Because he would have looked at the Zulu fight and said, look, we can't just wrestle this kid's face off. It's not always going to work. We're going to have to mix it up. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot of mixing it up. I suspect we're going to go to a decision here, but I don't know. I think if it goes to a decision, it's going to be whether Faiz has been able to adapt to the mixing up, the wrestling and all of that. But John, this is a massively exciting fight. In terms of the landscape of the EFC, this is a huge fight.
I think it's a strong card in general, dude. Definitely looking forward to it. And yeah, I agree with you. I think if it goes the distance, I would imagine that Chipumbo gets the nod in the end. I also feel like Chapuma is a little bit bigger than Faiz, and I think that'll play a factor in the physicality. He's strong, fit, and he's got a strong top game. So yeah, but overall, it's a great card, and I'm really looking forward to get to see everything.
For sure. And we're going to get an understanding of where our athletes are, who's been slacking, who's been training, who's been serious about it. You know, massively exciting. Quick fire picks, Rourke.
From me?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Of what?
Chichamba versus Sindile. Sorry.
Sindile.
Aziyash. Hey?
Sindile.
Fafa versus Zulu. I'm gonna go with Aziyash. Zulu. I think Zulu will round.
Sindile.
I'm gonna say Sindile on that one.
I'm gonna go with Azi.
Okay. Fafa versus Zulu.
I'm gonna go Zulu.
Zulu.
Van Staden versus Coxon.
Van Staden.
Allen versus Makulu.
Allen.
Oh, now it's gonna get juicy. Jacobs versus Sylvester.
Sylvester.
I'm gonna go Sylvester. I think it's gonna be a great fight. But it's, listen, we're not
throwing shade at anyone that we're not selecting.
Actually, you know what? I always start Fafa. I'm going for Fafa.
Bet the house on Rourke's bet Fafa. 8th of May, we don't know too many details just yet, where it's going to be, how it's going to be broadcast. I know it's going to be on Supersport, but as always, we'll keep you informed. Thanks for tuning in, we'll catch you later. Let's go shoot some goods.
Okay, so next up we got the Romanian Psl. This was issued to the normal infantry for the dedicated marksman for those little bit longer range shots. This isn't ours, this is Bunker Arms' rifle. Oh, motherfucker!
Holy shit. Yeah, let's go for a headshot. Dude, that's hectic, eh? That's hardcore. There's a lot happening in my face. Holy shit.
How's the pressure there in that little...
Yes! It's like a Kamaru Usman right hand, my man.
Those Romanians are a different breed, eh? So next up, once again, this isn't our gun. This is Bunker Arms' gun. This is a genuine FNFAL that was issued to the Rhodesian Army. Even has their little makeshift camo paint that they did on it. And yeah, let's give it a shot. Little peep sight, eh?
Yeah, it's a big... Gnarly.
Yo. Say a big thank you to Southwest Holsters. They're a big support of the MMA Republic show. Inside waistband holsters, outside waistband holsters are the best in the business. Full range, different Kydex colors and patterns and everything. So James, Mike, thank you very much for all the support over the past year and that. And if you want to have the best holster in the business, Southwest are the guys.